Imagine the year 1107. While most crusaders are following the beaten path, one plucky Viking king thought, why not spice things up a bit? Even though the Viking Age had ended in 1066 at Stamford Bridge, Sigurd wasn't going to let technicalities stand in his way and set sail for Jorsalfare, the Viking name for Jerusalem and the Holy Land. Sigurd was the first European king who led a crusade personally, setting a trend for the other rulers of Europe such as Richard the Lionheart, Raymond of Toulouse, and Frederick Barbarossa. Sigurd claimed he was only going on a pilgrimage but added between 5,000 and 6,000 warriors and 60 ships to his trip, so you can see where this is going. Norway had been forcefully converted to Christianity more than 100 years ago, and the 18-year-old now saw his chance for glory. This is History with Magnus. Remember to subscribe. The journey took them across the North Sea, and they spent the winter in South England, most likely on the island of Sheppey. Sigurd met with the English King Henry I, who himself had Norwegian roots, through William the Conqueror and Rollo the Walker. Sigurd shocked everyone by leaving early next year without torching the countryside, declaring himself king, nor generally being a menace. A truly refreshing twist for a Viking. The journey went relatively smoothly as they mainly passed through areas controlled by Christian petty kings, from whom they could get supplies for the journey. But when he came to Santiago on the northern Iberia Peninsula, things changed. Even though the lord of the city allowed Sigurd to remain and purchase whatever food he needed, his inner Viking could no longer be controlled. He sacked the city, and in true Viking fashion, stealing anything of value. In Lisbon, he attacked the fortress, which was under Muslim and Moorish rule, and won a great victory. He handed over the rule to Christian leaders and felt he had done God's work. The trip went to the Balearic Islands, that was at this time mostly controlled by pirates, and they pirated the pirates from their pirated goods. Since these pirates here were Muslims, you could argue that his crusade started here. He skipped Majorca since this was where the Moors had their major forces, and why spoil a good run with a loss? In the early summer of 1110, Sigurd and his crew made their grand entrance into Sicily, where they rested at the palace of the Norman king Roger II for the summer. Early in the fall, they finally made it to the Holy Land, sailing in with 60 ships, anchoring at the port city of Acre. They were warmly welcomed and escorted by King Baldwin of Jerusalem. Sigurd, being the first king to visit, had the royal treatment. Roads were literally covered with carpets and palm branches, worthy of the medieval rock star that he was. In the fall, he set sail for the holy city of Jorsalfare, the Norse name for Jerusalem. King Baldwin requested Sigurd's assistance in capturing the city of Sidon, and to sweeten the deal, Baldwin offered him a piece of the true cross as a relic. You know, because nothing says thanks for the help like a piece of Jesus furniture. Sigurd solemnly swore that when they finally made it back home, the precious relic would be delivered to St. Olav's grave in Nidaros. Sidon fell, and the Norwegians spent the winter in Jerusalem. But that wasn't all. They also promised to do everything in their power to strengthen Christianity in Norway, meaning killing anybody that disagreed. He also promised to establish an archbishopric and introduce tithes, a 10% tax on everything you owned. That last part probably didn't make him very popular, but hey, duty calls. All these plans were eventually carried out, though not all during King Sigurd's reign. On their way back in 1111, they took a little detour, stopping by Cyprus and the Peloponnese before arriving in Miklagard, modern-day Istanbul. Here, the Byzantine Emperor Alexios welcomed them with open arms and a grand royal reception. Life in Byzantium was sweet. There was feasting, gold, and probably a lot of people gawking at these towering, battle-scarred Norsemen. By then, their numbers had really taken a hit. Of the original 6,000 warriors who sailed out from Norway, only about 100 tired, somewhat grumpy survivors made it back home by the summer. The rest? Well, some fell in battle, others met less than heroic ends, and a good chunk took one look at their cushy new life in the Emperor's elite, Varangian Guard, and said, yeah, we're staying. The Varangian Guard was basically the VIP section of medieval bodyguards, and very well paid. While he isn't exactly a household name in history today, back in the day, Sigurd's epic adventures were all the rage and were celebrated across the Christian world. He didn't just join the crusade, he set the trend of kings personally jumping into the action. Sigurd returned to Norway, but during a stop in Oslo, he suddenly fell ill and died in 1130. He was 40 years old and had been king for 26 years, the last 6 of which as the sole king. His crusade and life proved that while a Viking might die, they can never truly be tamed. Remember to subscribe.